Hi friends, welcome back. It's time for another blog, and I just so happen to be holding a very large 1-year-old baby Jester. She's not super thrilled that I'm holding her right now. But I also, I wanted you guys to see just how big she's gotten. She's just around 5 pounds. And she's incredibly active, and she's going to be running around in the background of this video again, because this is her favorite room in the house, isn't it? And she doesn't get to be in here very often. So I'm gonna put her down and then we'll talk shop. Anyway, so that's Jester B. Rabbit. She did get a slight name change at some point. I realized when I first introduced her to you guys, her name was just Jester. And she is now Jester Bun. And I then call her either JBR or Jester B. Rabbit. Also Madam. She goes by Madam a lot. Anyway, she's very cute. She's having a ball. Sniffing. Everything. In sight. Love her to pieces. So last week, it was actually her birthday, and my best friends have a 3.5-year-old who has declared that he and Jester Bun are besties. So they came over and we got pizza and Jester got presents, and it was a fabulous little 2-hour Bunnthday celebration. I'm actually mildly disappointed that I'm not the one that came up with the word Bunnthday for her birthday, as it is a bun birthday. It was my brother came up with it. I should have come up with it, man. It's so good. I love it. But we had a good Bunnthday. I got to spend the whole day with her. We did a whole bunch of little celebrations. She's got a bunch of new toys. The things we do for our pets. Am I right? In terms of art stuff, I have actually started a new painting. I am playing with a new process that I very much came across by accident, which I'll probably discuss in more detail in video for that one. But the gist is that I was working with oil pastels, and man, they got out of hand. It just turned into quite a bit of a mess, and I ended up finding a really fun way to turn it into something really, really pretty. So that one's going to be a really fun video to get into. The painting right now looks a little weird, but it's going to look super cool. I'm probably going to play with it a little bit after I'm done recording this vlog, and we'll see where it goes. But I'm having fun just kind of playing with some new techniques and just kind of getting into some new, different stuff this year, especially with doing the writing on the side. It's just, I don't have as much time as I usually do for painting, so trying to make the most of the time that I do have for it, which I think is fun. It kind of makes up for having my focus a little bit more split this year. Yeah, it's a pretty one. I think you'll like it. What are you doing? Hopping on everything, I tell ya. So, in terms of writing, I have actually made some decent headway in the last few weeks. I'm pretty pleased with myself. I'm not actually that far through in terms of chapters. I think I have 6 chapters of the book that are done, but I did introduce a couple of new characters, and I've gotten it to the point that I'm pretty sure I know where I'm going with a lot of the story. I do have one character that I think I'm going to go back through and rewrite some of her scenes. I usually, for those of you who haven't read any of my books, which is going to be most of you, I usually do pretty close third-person narration for everything, but I pretty often have one first-person narrated character. And I think in this story, I do want to stick with that theme. I think I want to be able to have the one character in first person, and I think I've picked out what character that will be. So I think that'll be nice. But that does mean I need to go back and fully rewrite her scenes. I have a friend who's actually been reading some of my chapters for me, and he also advised that those might need a little tweaking, a little rewrite, just because one of her scenes, there's not very much that happens, and it feels like something needs to happen in that scene. Like there needs to be more action. She's just kind of walking and thinking and walking and thinking, and it would be good to just add some actual doing in that scene. So I did want to go back and rewrite that one anyway, but now I have even more of an excuse with wanting it to be in first person instead of third. So that'll be fun. That's going to be my goal for the next couple of weeks, is to get that done, get it to where I'm actually really happy with what I have so far. And then I'll probably send chapters out to a couple of different people, get more opinions, and we'll go from there. If any of you are interested in reading ARC type stuff, or if you want to read like extreme first draft type situations, there is a little paper that I make you sign because it is my intellectual property, but I may at some point this year be interested in finding more beta readers, basically. I have a few, but life is busy. It's not everybody has time to sit and read the same chapter again and again and again and again. So there's that. I will keep you guys posted as that gets going. I think, though, that the biggest news of this week is that I finally get to be part of a D&D campaign that will be starting actually the day that this video goes live. I will be thrown in the deep end, rather, on a D&D campaign. I have technically played 2 D&D games, not campaigns, just one-shots, basically. And kind of 1.5. And that's all I've gotten to do. And I think they've both been either level 2 or level 3 or something. They were like super low level characters, and obviously because it was just like one-shots, you're just starting out, you want to be like super easy. But the campaign that I'm joining, a couple of my friends / coworkers had a long-standing campaign that fell apart a couple of years ago due to, you know how there's always that one guy or girl that'll just ruin a D&D campaign? That happened, and it just kind of fell apart, and they hadn't played for a while, and my friend who's DMing had expressed that he was trying to get back into it and trying to like really restart that campaign, try to get the band back together. And at that point, I have been watching Critical Role for years. I've watched a little bit of Dimension 20. I absolutely love D&D. I think it's great fun. I just haven't actually really gotten to play it. But they needed another player, and so they asked if I wanted to join, which I'm really excited for. We put together my character over the last couple of weeks. I am joining at level 12, so any of you who know anything about D&D know that it's very much being thrown into the deep end, but it's going to be a lot of fun playing with very experienced players, very experienced DM, so I think it'll be good. It'll be nice to be playing with people who really know what they're doing, and people who I really don't think they're going to be bothered by me not necessarily knowing what I'm doing when I first get in there. Also, I've watched so much Critical Role that I feel like I will pick it up relatively quickly. I just got to get into it and get going. But that's been the big thing that I've been spending a little bit more of my extra time on for the past couple of weeks, is kind of just getting that figured out. And then, yeah, there's all of these different creative endeavors this year, aren't there? Because I would say that D&D is pretty darn creative. So I'm also kind of hoping that some things from the D&D campaign end up being things that I can kind of tweak as things to put into my book. I think there's a lot of really cool tropes from D&D specifically that I think are really cool, and at least in my experience, don't really make it into a lot of writing. So I think it'll be fun to play with that, play with some new concepts and new ideas that I haven't ever broached in my writing before. I think it's just going to be fun to see, especially with writing, just what all I come up with for this story, because I was kind of getting to a point where a lot of my stories felt fairly similar when I was writing. So this one just having very different vibes is already a lot of fun, and like I keep saying, I'm excited to see where it goes. I think it's going to be a lot of fun and very interesting and different to get into. I did discover something that I thought was interesting. So I've been listening to audiobooks for the last couple of years, and that I think is a big reason why I've actually been able to get back into writing again, because I really hadn't read. Aside from my editing, aside from work, I hadn't been reading. I had been writing and editing and reading manuscripts, and that was basically it. I didn't really read for fun. It was a thing that I knew that I would enjoy if I could get myself into it, but then finding the time and finding the book and finding the gumption to sit down and actually read a physical book was just, it was something I really could not get myself to do. But I eventually decided to try audiobooks. And I'm going to be really honest, I was hooked on audiobooks from the first book that I listened to. I was all in. I devour audiobooks. I love them. I use Libro.fm for my audiobook listening. They're great because you get to support a local bookstore while you're buying audiobooks. So I think that's really cool. I think that's a fun way to still support small business while still listening to audiobooks. I know that you can also do a lot of audiobooks through the library, but I do like to support small business, so I just do it that way. Sorry about that, camera died in the middle of my sentence. Anywho, what was I saying? Audiobooks. So I've been listening to audiobooks for a while, and a lot of last year was spent listening to The Expanse audiobooks, and I love them. I highly recommend that book series. It is pretty dark in sections, but really interesting story, very well written. I do recommend it on that ground. It was very inspiring to me while I was reading it. I had so many ideas for stories, and I think that The Expanse is going to be a big point of inspiration for my new novel in general. But I finished that series in December, I think, of last year, and I started The Lord of the Rings. I love The Lord of the Rings. It is my favorite book series, my favorite movie series. I adore The Lord of the Rings. Tolkien, one of my favorites, one of the greats. And I hadn't read Lord of the Rings in a while because, again, it's a big book, it's daunting, and so audiobooks. It needed to be audiobooks. So I had been listening to The Lord of the Rings, and I was finding that my writing wasn't coming out as good, I guess, or as smoothly as when I had been listening to The Expanse or The Expanse short stories or anything like that. And I finally listened to my gut and I put on an Expanse audiobook, and then the ideas are back. So despite the fact that I absolutely love Lord of the Rings and I do want to listen to it again, or I do want to read it again, I'm at a point where apparently I need to be listening to The Expanse again. So even though I just read this book series last year, I am starting it over again. And I think that's the thing that a lot of creatives do need to hear, is that sometimes your creativity is going to want you to keep watching the same thing or listening to the same thing or doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. And it's not a bad thing for you to do that, because that's what your creativity needs for it to stretch and grow and build into what it needs to be. And I think a lot of times, and I know I will a lot of times really fight it, and then as soon as I stop fighting it, I feel like a complete idiot, because why was I fighting that? Jester, be rabbit. Anyway, I feel like a complete idiot because why was I fighting this when I knew that that was the thing that I needed to do and the thing that I needed in order for me to really focus on my creativity. But sometimes we just fight those things, and I think it's important that we, as creatives, remember that sometimes there's just this weird thing that we need to do. And when we do that, our creative muscle is going to flex super strong, and it's going to make us a lot stronger in one specific part of our creativity. I don't know if I explained that very well, but there it is. That's what I have. And yeah, that's going to be my vlog for today. I'll be back in a few more weeks with another one, and at that point, I think I will actually sit down and talk to you a little bit more about this new painting over here. I'll already have a video out on it where I'll tell you a little bit more about it, but I think that it would be fun to go over it in like super fine detail in a vlog. You'll see why. Thank you guys for listening and putting up with the myriad distractions in today's video. Also, I think the lighting's a little weird today, so I apologize. This one is not the best, but you get what you get. Thank you guys, and I will see you in a couple weeks with a brand new video. Bye. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more chill videos with art. Look at her. She's huge.